Well, good morning, everyone. It's great to be here with so many partners, municipal leaders, community members, and industry representatives for what is another exciting day. Many exciting days for St. Thomas and the surrounding communities. I'm Rob Flack, the local member of Provincial Parliament for Elgin, Middlesex, London, and I'd like to begin by welcoming my colleagues, the Minister of Transportation, Prabmeet Sarkaria, and our Minister of Economic Development, Job Creation and Trade, Minister Vic Fedeli. Thank you both for being here today and for your continued commitment to investing in our region. I'd also like to recognize Mayor Joe Preston, who unfortunately couldn't be here today, but members of his council are here. I'll make sure I get them all. Councillors Kohler, Baldwin Sands, Herbert, and Rymel are here, so thank you folks for being here. Good job. They're doing a great job in this community, and I know it's a busy time coming ahead in the coming weeks and months in a local election, so good luck in your endeavors there. So there's no question that our region, I think everybody knows this, has been experiencing unprecedented growth. And I knew when we announced, Minister, when PowerCo and Volkswagen made that big announcement along with our government just a couple of years ago, we knew that we were in for some unprecedented times, and they always weren't going to be comfortable. Change brings about important change when it comes especially to infrastructure in this region. Whether it's water, wastewater, roads, what we're here to talk about today, we are making changes, good changes, that are investments for the future. St. Thomas and Elgin County are one of Ontario's fastest growing economic success stories, with transformational investments in advanced manufacturing, electric vehicle production, housing, and infrastructure, and our community is helping lead Ontario's economy now and in the future. That kind of growth brings incredible opportunity, but it also brings us new demands on the infrastructure I just previously talked about. People need to be able to get to work safely and efficiently. Businesses need reliable transportation corridors to move goods and attract investment. Emergency services need dependable routes, and families deserve less time sitting in traffic and more time at home. Highway 3 is a vital corridor that connects our communities and supports thousands of daily commuters, commercial vehicles, and visitors. Our region continues to grow. Investing in this highway will ensure we have the infrastructure needed to support the next generation of economic growth. This project sends a clear message that Ontario is planning ahead, as it will unlock new housing opportunities, support existing employers, attract new investment, strengthen our supply chains, and ensure that communities like St. Thomas remain competitive for decades to come. Today's announcement is another example of our government's commitment to investing in the infrastructure that keeps Ontario moving and creates the conditions and the opportunity for long-term prosperity. I want to thank everyone again who has advocated for this important project over the years, and it's now my pleasure to welcome our Minister of Transportation, the Honourable Prabmeet Sarkaria. Minister.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Minister Flack, Rob, for that kind introduction. It's great to be here with him in St. Thomas. He's been an incredible asset at Queen's Park, someone who fights for his community every single day, and especially as you mentioned, the growth that you've had in this area, in your community, has been significant, and our government has worked very closely, especially in my portfolio of Ministers of Transportation, with Minister Flack to address those concerns and continue to work towards better solutions for our communities here. I'm also very pleased to be joined by Minister Fedeli. As you can see, there's been significant investment in this region thanks to his leadership and work, and as well as our municipal partners, Councillor Kohler. It's great to be here with you and your team of councillors for this exciting news that is going to be good for commuters, it's going to be good for families, and it's going to be good for businesses across the area. Under Premier Ford's leadership, our government is making historic investments in highway infrastructure to keep people and goods moving safely and quickly. We're investing over $30 billion to build, repair, expand highways, roads, and bridges, including right here in St. Thomas. Today, we are marking a milestone. I'm happy to announce that construction has started to expand Highway 3 in St. Thomas. Crews have been hard at work to support the expansion of almost 7 kilometers of highways from Centennial Avenue to Ron McNeil Line, where drivers will be able to connect to the future Talbotville bypass. These projects will provide a direct connection from Highway 401 to St. Thomas, supporting residential, commercial, industrial growth throughout Elgin County. They will also improve access to the St. Thomas Industrial Park and the Volkswagen EV battery manufacturing plant currently under construction. This plant will employ over 3,000 highly skilled workers and support thousands of other good-paying jobs across Ontario's supply chain and broader economy. Our government continues to invest to build a stronger, more self-reliant and resilient economy and to protect Ontario. And that's exactly what we're doing by expanding Highway 3 and building the Talbotville bypass. Today is a great day for St. Thomas and a great day for Ontario. And with that, I'll turn it over to Minister Fedeli. Thank you.
Thank you, Prab. Congratulations. Well, thank you, Minister Sarkaria, for that introduction and for your leadership on this important project. And quite frankly, thank you for that great news, for more great news for St. Thomas. Morning, everybody. It's always a pleasure to be back in St. Thomas. We want to begin by expressing our appreciation to your MPP, Minister Rob Flack, for his, as Prab said, strong advocacy, always for the workers, for the families, for the businesses, and for all the people who call this region home. Over the last few months, we've had the pleasure of stopping in St. Thomas on a few occasions, and every time we return, we are inspired by the pace at which this business, all of these businesses are growing. So congratulations, Councillor, on the continued growth. A few years ago, our government began working with the city and its municipal partners to prepare the St. Thomas Industrial Park for major investment. The goal was simple: be strategic and forward-looking and lay the groundwork for generational investments that will fuel job creation and economic growth across the entire region. And that early work on the industrial park led to securing PowerCo's historic $7 billion lithium-ion battery facility, which will support thousands of direct and indirect jobs, both at the plant and all across their broader supply chain. Last year, we saw that momentum build yet again when Vianode selected St. Thomas to establish North America's very first large-scale, low-emission synthetic graphite plant, a project that will create 1,000 jobs once fully operational. So these projects are all testaments to the fact that St. Thomas has become one of the fastest-growing centers for investment. However, investment attraction is only part of our government's plan to protect Ontario. And new businesses arrive, old ones continue to grow. We must also ensure that the infrastructure, as Minister Sarkaria said, that has to be there to foster the long-term success. Today's announcement does just that. This twinning of Highway 3 will complement the investments underway, improve access between the 401 and the St. Thomas Industrial Park, and together with the improvements to Highway 4, the Talbotville bypass, this infrastructure will strengthen southwestern Ontario's value proposition while ensuring workers have safe roads on which to commute and businesses are equipped to move goods more efficiently. Strong, reliable infrastructure is a key ingredient for economic growth. And under the leadership of Premier Ford, our government has taken decisive action to attract new investment across key industries and uphold the stable, predictable, and competitive business conditions that workers need to thrive. Since 2018, Ontario has attracted more than $222 billion in investment, includes $35 billion just last year alone. Our manufacturing sector accounts for over 800,000 hardworking men and women across Ontario. So while President Trump's tariffs continue to target at our strengths, Ontario's resilience has been unwavering, and our government will continue to deliver on its mandate to protect this province and build a more prosperous future that can weather any storm. So to our municipal partners, builders, and all those who helped reach this really great milestone, thank you. With every milestone reached, we sustain St. Thomas's growth for decades to come. So let's introduce Councillor Jeff Kohler.
Thank you, Minister Fedeli. It's an honor to be here representing Joe Preston and St. Thomas City Council. Joe unfortunately sends his regrets. He's away. Minister Flack had already recognized our members of council that are here today, but I'd like to thank Councillor Rimo, Councillor Baldwin-Sands, and Councillor Herbert for coming out as well, and Justin and his team, integral part of what's happening here. The City of St. Thomas welcomes the province's continued progress on Highway 320, and like to thank Mr. Sarkaria, Minister Fedeli, and Minister Flack for their efforts. The advancement of enabling works, including utility relocations and grading, marks an important milestone as we move towards full construction in 2027. The investment will enhance transportation, safety, and improve connectivity for our residents, business, and visitors, and support the continued economic prosperity of St. Thomas and the surrounding region of southwestern Ontario, and it will play an important role in supporting our region's long-term growth. The City welcomes infrastructure investments that align with our strategic plan and our vision of building a brighter future and making St. Thomas the best place to live, work, and raise a family. We welcome the province for its commitment in supporting strong and sustainable economic development within our community. We appreciate the ongoing collaboration between Ministry of Transportation and the City staff as we plan and coordinate utility relocation and related infrastructure work. This strong partnership between the province, the federal government, will continue with our council, because we will continue to say yes when it comes to partnering with the federal government and the province, and we want to thank you for that.
We'll now go to questions. If reporters could line up at the microphone behind me, please identify yourselves by name and outlet, and it will be one question, one follow-up.
Hi, Alessio Donini from CBC News. This is for Minister Sarkaria. It's about a tweet that you posted a few days ago. I'm wondering, Minister, how can the province move ahead with the Billy Bishop Airport expansion without the support of the federal government? Can you give us more details on that?
Well, thank you for your question. You know, firstly, disappointed with the statement that was released by the federal government on Friday. As members of the tripartite agreement, Premier Ford and our government will continue to work towards a plan that is published by the Toronto Port Authority that supports the modernization of Billy Bishop. You know, we support that project because it's a project that makes sense. Whether you're talking about air travelers across the province, you know, we heard from communities in the north, hospital CEOs, that this airport would create greater connectivity for those individuals. We heard from mayors in Eastern Ontario about how this project will support, their transportation needs as well. And so we've seen the federal government here listen to a small French group in Toronto, but we as the province will continue to push forward on a modernization of this airport because it's the right thing to do and it makes sense, and from an economic perspective, as well as preparing this future for not just the next 4 years, but for the next 20, 30, 50 years.
And just to follow up, that's a little more local. There are obviously many people who commute from London into St. Thomas. I'm sure it's expected folks will be commuting from all over the area into St. Thomas to work at PowerCo once it's established and work at the spin-off industry jobs that are expected to come in. I'm wondering if the province has any plans to invest more in public transit to make sure people can make that trip if they don't have access to vehicles.
That's a great question. And, as Minister Flack has said, we've often chatted about exactly that, is how do we enhance the public transit in this area, in this region. You're going to see a huge demand from PowerCo and, as you said, the surrounding companies that will need that. We have enabled programming for that. The OTIF is the name of the program. The region actually takes use of, the counties here take use of that program as well, which allows for municipal bus connections that are funded up to 50% through the ministry. And so we'll continue to gauge on that. I know it's a bit further away from here, but we just extended GO Transit to Stratford as well to allow for people to commute into that part of the city. And we'll continue to look at other options around GO to support the communities here, whether it's through GO buses or other options. So, me and Minister Rob Flack often have the conversation around how we continue to build upon different modes of transportation around here to get people to and from other communities or communities nearby and have them more connected.
Rita Ismail with CTV News here in London. I know you've already addressed this with my friend Alessio, but just to clarify, the Toronto Mayor has asked you to repeal the Bill 110. Do you have any plans to do so, or are you moving ahead?
No, we have no intention to repeal. As I said, we fully support the modernization of this plan that is going to be put forward by the Toronto Port Authority. We urge the federal government to continue to consider that proposal, because it's a proposal that makes sense for people that want to travel through air and have different options. And it's also about building big projects. If Prime Minister Carney and his team want to this is how they're going to treat bigger projects, I don't think you'll get much built. We look at Premier Ford and our government, and when we were building the Ontario line, the first time we've got tunneling in downtown Toronto in over 60 years, we had injunctions filed against us. We had people holding up our transit expansion to hold funerals for trees, even though we were replanting thousands of trees. And so if you listen to the special interest groups, nothing will ever be built in this province. And that's why this government has been elected with 3 historic majority mandates, because we have a mandate to build. We're building, we're getting shovels in the ground, whether it's the Ring of Fire in the north, whether it's this Highway 3 expansion here. That's what we're committed to, supporting good paying construction jobs, good paying jobs for this economy, and that's what we'll continue to drive, and that's what drives the Premier's vision for this province, is a vision that transcends a 4-year cycle, but one that looks at the next 50 to 100 years and connecting this province from every angle.
Thank you. Unrelated to that, within regards to today's announcement, as you mentioned, Minister Fedeli, we've had several investments with Vinode, PowerCo, and obviously Volkswagen. Where are we in those plants in terms of the infrastructure, and then will this be ready in time? Do we have a time frame as to when the expansion of Highway 3 will be completed?
I'll let Minister Sarkaria answer that, but I can just talk in broader terms. The projects and the infrastructure are intended to meet up so that there are ways to get to each place when the places are built. We're very excited about the PowerCo investment, a $7 billion investment here, creating thousands of jobs, the Vinode investment, and you'll hear a lot more. There's more than 1,000 acres of serviced land, or land that's about to be serviced. So we've been working around the globe, looking to bring additional companies here. Last year, I mentioned we had $35 billion in investment in Ontario. That's from 750 new companies coming to Ontario, who alone hired 64,000 people. So whether it's here in St. Thomas or all throughout Ontario, companies want to come here. In this economic war that we're in with the United States, you've seen the Prime Minister, you've seen our government traveling the world looking to bring new partners in. St. Thomas is a great location for them. They've got just all kinds of amenities, including the talent that we have and the talent that we're growing in Ontario, which is one of the biggest reasons why companies come here. You have seen the fact that companies around the world, they want a place like Ontario that's stable, reliable, dependable, but in this day and age, more than anything at all, they want predictability. And that's what Premier Ford and our government are offering. The talent that you need, the infrastructure that is being provided, that Minister Sarkaria will talk about in a moment, and in a stable climate that you know when Premier Ford, when that big mitt comes out and shakes your hand on a deal, you know that exactly what was said is exactly what you're going to get. That's what you get in Ontario.
Sorry, what was the last part of the question? Oh, the timing. Sorry. Yeah. So as you can see, we've moved, a rapid speed on this project. One of the projects that we can study is the quickest to get a shovel in the ground, and so we've got two parts to it. One is the 6.7 kilometer expansion plus the Talbotville bypass. Work is happening on that as we speak, and we'll continue to update as we get a better clarity around exactly when that will be completed. What I can tell you is the completion timelines are being worked on to match the growth of the community at a much faster pace than we've seen across the province. And so our teams are working diligently with our partners here at Dufferin and others who are working on the design and continue to work on progressing this forward. And we'll continue to update as we have more certainty around the exact completion date.
Thank you. That concludes today's press conference.
Thank you very much.